I'm Herb Johnson, and I can teach any man or woman how to escape from common holds. By following our simple step-by-step illustrations, you can learn how to escape from any common hold and without learning to punch or kick and without becoming a professional athlete. By following our simple 3R theory, which is relax, remember, and respond, you can escape from any hold possible. We do this by teaching you how to off-balance your opponent by grabbing or pressing or striking into different pain points or pressure points. One of the most important aspects of this self-defense is you must have a willing partner. You need someone that you can trust, because there's a lot of pain that can be demonstrated when you're executing these movements. So you have to have a partner that's willing to work with you and a partner that you can trust. We use what we call a tap-out system. When a person has applied enough pain or sufficient pain, you simply tap yourself or you tap them to give them the cue that you have had enough pain at that time. And to demonstrate this, let me give you one movement. If we're going directly into the eye in this position, as soon as she feels sufficient pain, she's going to tap out. Okay? Now I'd like for you to do the same thing. So as soon as she feels enough pain, she's going to tap out. Okay? This is a very important aspect to keep you from injuring your partner without knowing that you're injuring them. Plus, the very second that you injure your partner, you've usually lost them as a partner. Okay, right now we're teaching you how to attack different parts of the nervous system. The nerves run by bony sockets, or many times they are covered by muscle sheath. I would like to mention that as you're pressing, you must use the tips of the finger, not the pad of the finger. You must use the very, very tip, and the direction is very important. Now, the first one, you're striking directly into the eye or pressing directly into the eye. And notice how my fingertip goes directly into the eye, right into the center, and presses. Now, the next one is directly above that, only the direction is different. You do not press inward. You have to get underneath, getting a hold of that nerve and pressing upward this time. So the angle is straight up with the next one in this position. Okay? The next one is right in the center of the nose. You look at the nose here, 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 and you get right in the center of the nose, and then this time the direction of the press is straight inward. So I put my press in this position and press straight inward. The next one, it comes right down underneath inside the jawbone. So the direction has to be at a slightly outward angle. You get your finger underneath in this direction, and I press in this direction this time. So your finger goes here, and you press this direction. A lot of people will make the mistake of pressing inward here, and it doesn't work as efficiently. You have to get that nerve and press it against the jawbone by pressing outward. Then the next one is right behind the ear in this position, and you have to push upward and inward as if you're trying to put your finger right in the middle of their skull in this position, and you press up and inward. Now on the neck, we're going to cover 3 major points. The first one follows a strand of nerves straight down the neck into the front of the body in this position. You take a small pinch with the fingers toward each other and grab that bundle of nerves and squeeze. Okay? The second one is a bigger pinch. And this time you put your fingers back. There's a strand of nerves that go right behind the ear and down across the shoulder into the back. And you're going to put your fingers into that bundle of nerves, your thumb across into the throat, and then with a big pinch, squeezing with your finger and your thumbs going towards each other in this manner. Okay? Then the next one, you're taking just the point of your finger in this position, putting it right here. You actually look for the clavicle or the collarbone, and right above the collarbone, there's a soft point or a soft spot in this position, and you press downward at an angle, pushing toward the center of the body in this manner. or on the same thing on the other side in this position right here. Again, it's like halfway through the clavicle or collarbone. You go from the center and about 2 inches over, and you'll find this soft spot right here. You just press straight inward. Okay, the next area we're going to work on is the arm, starting with a group that comes directly through the armpit. The armpit is full of nerve. It's a massive nerve center that goes down into the arm. And the armpit is deliberately covering that group of exposed nerves. So if you can get that arm up in the air and press in the armpit anywhere in the armpit, it's extremely vulnerable. Then straight down the bicep. Right between the bicep, there's a set of nerves that are covered by the muscle, and you get between the muscle and press it into the bone in this position. The next one is right on the inside of the arm in this position. Right here, and again you press toward the center of the arm. Right in the bend, about halfway between, right here in this position. The next one is the radial nerve. The radial nerve comes from the elbow down across the top side of the hand, but again, it's covered by this muscle. So you have to separate the muscle or move that muscle over by pushing inward slightly and then pressing straight down on that radial nerve. Now, right down between the fingers, there's nerves that run right down between the fingers that control the fingers. So you isolate, or you get your fingers right between the bones, find a nerve, and then press it into the bone in this position. Or also in the thumb, between the thumb and the index finger. You can grab in this position and press in this direction. Okay, now the legs, very much like the arms, are extremely vulnerable, and they have a lot of nerve centers that travel through them. There's a spot right here where the leg starts to bend in this position. There's an extreme weak spot right there. There's a bundle of nerves. If you strike it or knee it, it's going to be injured. Then straight down in the center of the muscle here and the outside of the muscle here, if you knee it or strike this. Then right on the inside of the leg, right near the groin in this position, there's a point here, and you got to strike it at an upward angle. Then right on top of the knees in this position, striking at an angle across the knee this direction or an angle across the knee in this direction will cause the knee joint to collapse. Also, straight up or down the shin, and anything on top of the foot in this position. Any type of striking straight down on top of the foot. So far we've taught you how to attack the nervous system by pressing in the different nerve points. At this time we're going to teach you how to attack the skeletal and muscle system by showing you how to manipulate with wrist locks or arm bars. When attacking with wrist locks or arm locks, you're attacking the skeletal and muscular system. And you always want to twist or manipulate the joint in the direction it was not intended to go. To give you an example with the first wrist lock, to teach you this, if the person has got their hand palm up and you can reach across and grab the thumb in this manner, then you simply twist it to the outside. Okay, we're showing the opposite view. Again, you're grabbing in this direction and twisting in this manner. Okay, now I show you the reverse of that. If he had his hand turned palm down in this manner, you reach across the top, grabbing the little finger side, and then turn his hand palm out and palm up in this direction. And then push his fingertips so that they point toward him as you pull his wrist toward you. And then you put just a little bit more twist into it. So the same thing from the opposite side with the palm down. You reach across, grab the little finger side, turn it palm up, and then from right here, you push his fingers toward him and twist it a little bit more. Okay? Now, also there are finger grabs. If you try to bend the finger straight back, you don't have nearly enough pressure, or you can't create nearly the effect. Instead, you want to take his finger at a 45-degree angle, either this direction or 45-degree angle this direction. It creates more effect, it creates more pain. So you're going to lock his finger with this finger, and then I'm going to push either this direction or I'm going to push in a 45 in this direction. But I do not push it straight back in this manner. I either push at a 45 here or a 45 here. And again, you lock it with the other finger in this manner. It doesn't matter which finger you get a hold of. I can get a hold of any finger and do it exactly the same way. Okay? And you got him in a finger lock. Now, an arm bar is where you're actually locking the elbow straight and then trying to hyperextend the elbow. There's many different ways to lock that arm straight. You can lock it against your body in this position. You can lock it against your shoulder in this position. Or you can hold his hand palm down and just lay on it in this position. Okay? Now, I'll show you a couple of other little wrist locks that a person might use. If a person starts to push at you, you actually grab his fingers in this position. You take this hand and reach across, laying your wrist across his wrist, grabbing your own wrist in a figure 4, and then just turning in this direction. Okay? Do that one again, please. You just grab the hand, put your hand here, and then lock right against in this position. So that is if somebody's shoving at you. If somebody is using their finger, like shaking at you, now you go to that finger lock. I can do exactly the same thing by reaching up and grabbing that finger. Then if I want to, I can just control him just with the finger in this position if I like. But if you want to do more, then you put your hand right back in the same position, and you got him in a lock in this position. Up to this point, we've shown you how to off-balance and set up your opponent by striking or gouging or poking into different nerve centers or pressure points, and we've also shown you some wrist locks and arm bars. At this point, we want to go into showing you exactly how to escape from the movement. Anytime you escape from movement, you want to use your entire body against a weakness of your opponent. Now, when we demonstrate the front chokehold, you're going to see exactly what we're talking about. The common mistake when a person is grabbed with any type of a frontal attack or like a chokehold in this manner is they want to use their strength against their opponent's strength, in this case trying to drive straight up into the arms. Now, if his arms are as strong as mine and I try to drive straight up, there's no way I'm going to break that hold. So instead, I want to use the strength of my entire body against his weakness. Well, if a person grabs you in this position, the major weakness that they have at this point is in the wrist. So you want to attack that wrist with your entire body. So from this point, all he has to do is raise his arms straight in the air and then spin against that weakness or spin against that wrist joint. Okay? Showing the same thing from the opposite side. You just raise the arm and spin right against the wrist joint. It's impossible for a person to maintain that hold when a person spins on you. Since you're here, why don't you go ahead and grab her in a front choke and you just raise the arm and spin. Okay? A little more resistance. Okay? Okay, good. Let's go on to the lapel grab. The lapel grab, somebody grabs you in this position, he reaches up and grabs the lapel. Now, instead of me trying to take your hand away or try to bend your wrist, I'm going to use my entire body to bend your wrist. My final outcome is to get you in this wrist lock, okay? But I'm going to get you there, it's impossible for me to twist your wrist with my strength against your strength. But instead, you lock their hand against your body, and then you take your entire body, turning that wrist, and then lean right into that same wrist lock. Now, if I could back away and show exactly how I've got that wrist, his wrist is in the same position as I demonstrated before. I'm going to show it from the other side. From here, I reach across, I lock his hand to my body with both hands. I take my elbow, go right over top of him in this position, then lean back. Okay? Now, moving down to the wrist grabs. Person grabs your wrist. If he grabs my wrist in this position, one of the easiest ways out of it is to reach across and grab your own palm, and I'm going to drive my elbow toward his elbow as I pull my palm out of his grab. So from this position, I do this type of a movement. Now, if a person is about your own same strength, you can get out of it just with that movement. But if a person is much stronger than you are, you might have to grab this hand and pull out in this position. You come across and do this time. First of all, try to get out of it with just one hand. By driving your elbow in, that's it. Drive the elbow in and pull your hand away. Okay, do the same thing with this side. Drive the elbow in, that's it. Drive the elbow into his elbow. Now, to make it easier for yourself, when he grabs, just reach across and grab your own palm and pull your palm away as you drive the elbow in. That's it. Good. Again, please. Same thing, other side. Good. Okay, good. Now, if a person grabs the cross wrist, grabs across, this time, instead of grabbing in this position, pulling out, you want to grab across the top of their hand in this position, going across their thumb as you pull it across. And you can do it exactly the same way, just by grabbing my hand and pulling it across in this manner. Grab across, I reach across, grab my own palm, and pull away. Okay, I should do this one. Grab them, cross grab. That's it. Just grab your own hand and pull it away. Okay, good. Now, if a person grabs both wrists, they grab both wrists in this position, you're going to put both of your hands together in this position, push straight down, bring your hands up to your chest, and then when you turn your body toward him, it easily breaks that grab. You can do it in one motion. From here, step in, twist, and turn. Okay? Now let me do it slow. Put the hands together, step in, pull the hands together, and turn right against his wrist. Okay? Now we're moving to the front bear hug. As the person grabs you in this position. Okay? If your arms are free, you've got all kinds of weapons to strike with. The most difficult bear hug to get out of is the one where your arms are tied down. Okay? So because he grabs me and my arms are free, I got all kinds of things that I can strike him with. I got all kinds of weapons that I can strike him with. Okay? But if he grabs me with my arms tied down, it makes it a bit different. One of the easiest things a person can do when their arms are tied down is to reach right down between the legs and get a little hunk of skin and just pinch and twist. And it takes almost nothing to loosen the person up. Let me demonstrate this. Like from right here, if I just reach down and grab a little bit of skin and twist, that's all you need with this type of movement. Whether it's a front bear hug or whether it's a rear bear hug, anytime you slide your hand down here, get that little hunk of skin and just twist that skin, it's extremely painful. And again, that sets up the movement, but it doesn't get you out of the bear hug yet. Or another way of getting out of the bear hug, naturally you could knee into the thigh, you could knee up into the groin, and then from right here you step behind the person to trip them, and then you're going to take them down in this manner. Okay? So Mrs. Myers, I'd like for you to do that. So he grabs, she's going to loosen him up somehow, and then step behind him and trip him. A side headlock. Somebody grabs you from a side headlock in this position. One of the easiest ways of getting out of a side headlock, first you loosen them up first, as always. You might strike to the groin. This hand's going to go underneath the leg. This hand's going to slide right up the shoulder and reach across and grab his nose or grab his chin. Now I suggest reaching across and grabbing his nose. Remember, there's a pressure point on the nose that I showed you earlier. I like to reach up and put my pressure point, put my finger right on that pressure point to pull back on his nose. But you can also pull back on the chin. You can grab the hair and pull back on the hair. And all you're going to do is pull back on the head as you block this leg or lift this leg. So from here I can step back and just lay him down to this position. Just take your glasses off. Okay, grab. So again, I go strike to loosen him up. This hand goes here. This hand comes up to this position. And then all I have to do is take a step back and pull his head back. As his head comes back, his body follows. Again, I like to reach up and put my finger right there in that pressure point. But that is not necessary. You can go across the chin or you can reach up and grab the hair and pull back. Now, moving around behind the person, if a person grabs you from behind in this manner, they have to have their fingers around in front of you. It's impossible for a person to grab you from behind without exposing their fingers, okay? So, when Mr. Morgan grabs from behind, he's got to use those fingers. Now, I can do several different things. If you remember this nerve point right here, if I got the ability, I can get that thumb right up and hit that nerve point, and his hands will open up for me. Okay, that's one way. Another way is I can reach down and work on a finger, and I can get one of his fingers loose. Once I get that finger loose, now I can just peel him right away from me. Remember how earlier I showed you the finger grabs. Once I get a finger loose, I can just peel him right off of me. And right here, I am in control. Okay? So this is some of the ways that you might get out of a rear bear hug. As soon as that person grabs, again, you can go into the pressure point here, or you can work on a finger and get a finger free. Now the way he's got his hands right now, it's difficult for me to work a finger free. But I can still reach back to this position and grab a hunk of skin and twist to set him up. Okay? Now, to show you how to escape from this, one of the easiest ways of escaping is simply step behind the person and then spin your upper body into him. Okay? So from here, he grabs. I might reach back and pinch. I might reach back and smack. And then I'm going to step behind him and spin with my elbow toward him. Do it the opposite direction. He grabs. Once again, I might open his hand here. I might strike here. I might pinch here. I step behind and take my elbow into him. Now, if a person grabs you from a rear chokehold, once again, for him to grab with the rear chokehold, he has to have his fingers around in front of me. So I can work on those fingers. I can get a finger free. If I can get a finger free, once again, I can pull him right away from me or just peel him right off of me. Now, if I cannot get one of those fingers free, if he's really strong and I can't reach up there and get that finger, now, to get myself some air, I'm going to pull down his arm momentarily, and then I'm going to turn my chin toward his elbow so that I can get some air, okay, so that I can actually breathe. Now, I want to change this side headlock, or I want to change this rear chokehold to a side headlock. And I can do that by hanging onto this arm, and then from right here, turning my head toward his body in this position. Now, I already know how to get out of the side headlock, so I just go smash and escape from that side headlock. So one of the easiest ways of escaping from a rear chokehold is to, again, reach up and grab the wrist here, grab the elbow in this position. I'm going to pull down on the wrist. I'm going to push up on the elbow as I step behind him in this position. Now, from right here, I'm in the side headlock, and now I'll go smash and escape from the side headlock. A woman might find themselves in a situation where a guy might grab her, put his arm around her waist and try to walk her in this position, or he might let her put her arm around him in this position, or he might come up and slide his arm around her in this position. And each one of them, there's a little bit different ways of escaping from it. If I hold her arm in front of me in this position, remember you always want to use a scissoring effect. If I grab her and try to make her walk and I'm holding this arm, now she wants to step behind me, very much like we did with a full Nelson and the rear bear hug, and when she steps behind, she's going to drive with that elbow to off-balance the opponent or the attacker. If the attacker lets them put their arm around them in this position, again, using that scissoring effect, since the arm is behind me, her leg now must come in front of me. So as we're walking, she's going to bring the leg around in front of me, grab my elbow, and pull me around in this position. Okay? But if I make the mistake of sliding my arm underneath hers in this direction, all she's going to do is take this arm and grab her belly button and then spin against my elbow joint, using it as an arm lock or an arm break. And this is the one that is the most painful. Okay, in this position. Another way to get to that position, if I would hold her in this position, if she just swing her arm around, now she's right back into that position. Okay? So again, to cover those again, if a guy grabs you in this position, you want to use that scissors effect. The arm's in front, the leg has to go behind. If I let her get the arm behind, her leg comes in front. And then if I make the mistake of putting my arm between hers, she's going to grab her own belly button and spin against my elbow joint. Now, also less violent attacks is where a person might just grab your hand and try to walk with you in this position. A person just grabs your hand and tries to walk. It depends on whether your hand is on top or on bottom, which direction you should go. Now, if my hand is on top, I will step back and put them in what we showed you earlier as being this wrist lock. Only you're going to be using both hands to put them in the wrist lock. Okay? So if I would happen to grab her and walk with her, and her hand is on top, all she's going to do is grab my hand from the bottom and step back, putting me into this wrist lock. You have to keep the hand lower than the shoulder. If you raise it above the shoulder, you actually take away the wrist lock. It has to stay as low as possible. You're going to take their palm and lay it into the floor. Okay, so again, if I would grab her and leave her with the upper hand, as we start to walk with it in this position, she just steps back and puts me in a wrist lock. Now, if the hand is on top in this position, it changes. So if the hand is on top, now you have to reach across, lift the elbow up in this position, walk around underneath it, and you got them in a wrist lock in this position. Okay, in fact, let me demonstrate this with Mr. Morgan, then you can come back. From right here, if his hand is on top, or if his hand is on top and my hand is on the bottom, I want to lift the arm straight up, walk underneath the elbow, and holding his elbow up in this position, I got him in a wrist lock. Okay? But if his hand is on bottom and mine is on top, then I want to reach across in this position and step straight back. Okay? So if I have the upper hand, I'm going to step back and drive his palm to the floor. If I have the lower hand, I'm going to reach across and grab his hand, lift his hand straight up in the air, walk underneath it, and put him in a wrist lock in this position. At this time, I'd like to restate the 3R theory. The 3 R's are not reading, writing, and arithmetic. The 3 R's are relax, remember, and respond. Now to go a bit further, to relax, there's several different ways of relaxing under attack situations. The very second that you grab, you're going to become tense and uptight. In order to relax, there's several different ways. You can breathe, you can take deep breaths. Another way is to whisper to yourself, relax, relax. Once you start to relax, your brain starts to take over and you start to remember. You'll remember the things that you've worked on in this tape. You'll remember the different pressure points. You'll remember the different wrist locks. You'll remember the way you've worked on escaping from different types of attacks. After you remember, then you react. When you react with 100% efficiency, and you always react when you got some chance of getting help. You never wait till somebody's got you isolated or secluded where you cannot get assistance. You always react when you've got chance of assistance. Always remember to be courteous with your partner. A lot of these movements can cause severe pain. Remember the tap-out theory. As soon as you've pressed enough that you've created pain, remember that your partner is going to tap out to remind you that that's enough. So again, be gentle, be courteous to your partner, and do not hurt each other. Remember, this is a self-defense. So remember to practice carefully. And if you're ever attacked, relax, think about what you're going to do, and react. You can escape.